Good morning, everybody. And good morning to those who are watching online around the country and around the world. And we're having more and more people watching every single week. There's a verse in Ephesians that it should get our attention. And the reason it should get our attention is because it just it says something different to the men than it does to the women. It says something different to husbands than it does to the wives. Here it is. It says this: each one of you must love, talking about to the men, must love his wife as he loves himself. And the wife must respect her husband. The husband's commanded to love, the wife's commanded to respect. And should the husband also respect his wife? Obviously. Should the wife also love her husband? Obviously. But he's showing that there's a core difference between men and women, the heart of a man, the heart of a woman. The core need of a woman is love. The core need of a man is respect. And a lot of people don't know that there's that difference there. We're in a series called Love and Respect, and we're taking a look at a book that's from the same title. And in this book, the author kind of just unpacks that verse and says how this applies to our life, how this applies, how you and I can use it in real life every day. Now, we have half the people in our church are single, half the people in our church are married. And whether you're single or married, this is a series for you, because if you're single, you realize this helps you understand the heart of the opposite sex and understand your own heart. And then also, in addition to that, if you're married, not only do you understand that, but it helps you to be able to meet the core need of your spouse as well. And we're going to be going through generalizations and things. I said that the last time, because this does not apply to every man or every woman, but it does apply to most. And go ahead, he talked about the first week, we talked about this. This comes from the book. It says, without love, this is the crazy cycle. Without love, the woman reacts in a disrespectful way. Without respect, the man responds in an unloving way. And this keeps going over and over and over and over. And there's a lot of marriages, if not most marriages, that are in this crazy cycle. We talked, and this is just a cycle that hurts everybody. This is a lose-lose. Everybody in this cycle, it hurts. And so we talked the first week about, okay, how do you get out of that cycle? How do you break through? But this week, we're going to talk about the blessing or the energizing cycle. And it's the exact opposite of the crazy cycle. Go ahead and throw that up there. His love motivates her respect, which motivates his love, which motivates her respect. And this is a cycle that everybody wins with. This is a win-win. And so obviously we want to get out of the crazy cycle. We want to get into the blessing cycle where we win. And for this week and next week is going to be really cool. It's Takeover Sunday, where the youth take over, and they're amazing. We have an incredible youth. Amen. Something I look forward to whenever we do this. But then the week after that, we'll touch base on this again. But here's what we're going to do. For 2 weeks, we're going to talk about, guys, how do we really make it work, do what we can do to help our significant other, our spouse, to feel loved. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be taking a look at the guys also for the ladies. How do you help your husband feel that respect that is part of his core need as well? In my first church that I was a pastor at, we had a young man by the name of Byron. And Byron, when he went on a mission trip with our youth group, he met a Brazilian down there and fell in love, a beautiful young lady. And he came back, and here's the thing, that he wanted to communicate with her. But he didn't speak her language. He did not speak Portuguese. So he spent night after night in our basement studying Portuguese, which was completely foreign to him. But the reason he did it is because he loved her and he wanted to be able to communicate with her. In the same way, guys, love sometimes for some guys is not our natural language. Does not come as easy a lot of times as it does to ladies. But if we truly care and if we truly want to communicate and connect with our wife, then we're going to do what it takes to be able to communicate that love to her. Now, in his book, he talks about, he has an acronym couple, C-O-U-P-L-E. And each one of those stands for one way that guys that we can show our love to our wives and help them feel that love. So we're going to look at C-O-U today, and a couple weeks we're going to look at the P-L-E. This is it. The first one stands for closeness. Women were created to connect. And you take a look at these three things. You look at a stapler, you look at a button, and you look at a paper clip. And what do those things have in common? They were created to connect, and they're good at it. God created women to connect, and they're good at it. And they are able to connect with their friends in a deep way. They're able to connect with their children in a deep way. They're able to connect with the husbands in a deep way, and with God in a deep way. The Bible says this in Genesis 2. It says this, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." And the word there for united is this. It means to cling to connect with, to hold on to, or to keep close. And God is talking way more than just about physical connection there. He's talking about emotional connection. He's talking about relational connection and spiritual connection. And when you let your wife know that you want to be close to her by what you say, by how you act, by how you look at her, it makes her feel close to you, and it makes her feel loved. And here's some ways that we can connect with our wives. And the reason I say we is because I'm in this with you, okay? This is not something that I have all together. I'm growing in this just like hopefully you're growing in every single one of the things that we're talking about. But the first one is this: be attentive. A man thought his wife was hard of hearing, so he went to the doctor and asked what he should do. The doctor said, stand about 40 feet away from her and ask her a question. If she doesn't answer, move closer to her and ask again. So that night he walked in the door and from the hallway said, honey, what's for dinner? No answer. So he moved closer to the living room. Honey, what's for dinner? Still nothing. So he moved to the kitchen door. Honey, what's for dinner? Nothing. Finally, he stood right behind her and said, honey, what's for dinner? She turned around and said, for the fourth time, chicken. Turns out he was the one that wasn't listening. He was the one with the hearing difficulty. Now, men and women communicate different, don't we? That women love to communicate face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, right? If you see some ladies in a coffee shop, they're looking straight at each other, looking each other in the eye. That's why a little girl will say, Daddy, look at me. That's not something you usually hear from the mouth of a little boy. Now, guys are different. Guys will not sit there. If they're out to lunch or something, they're not going to sit there and just gaze in each other's eye the whole time. In fact, they'll really kind of look away a lot of the time and just occasionally look at each other, make sure they didn't disappear or something. We communicate in a different way there. And something too there, that means also that the guys, we need to probably compromise in this area, all of us, because ladies, your husband's not going to be like your girlfriend, and you probably don't want him to be either. But also, at the same time, guys, that means we need to do face-to-face, probably more than what we're used to and everything, because that's the way a woman connects. And to be attentive also means to pay attention, right? That sometimes, guys, we just need to put stuff down, what we're doing, that we need to give our wife our full attention. The second thing is to be affectionate. Not only give attention, to be affectionate. I like the story about the couple that are in a restaurant together, and the wife looks over and sees another couple in another booth that's about their same age, and she sees this. She sees the husband there has his arm around her. He's whispering things in her ear. She's getting embarrassed some, and she's smiling and things, and he's fiddling with her hair. He's rubbing her shoulder, and she looks and says, look at that man there. Says, look, he's touching her. He's rubbing her hair. He's being really affectionate in that way. Said, why can't you be like that? And he looks over, looks at her, looks at his food, and says, honey, I don't even know that lady. Here's some of the things that you said about how you feel. We asked you to complete this sentence. I feel close to my husband. I feel connected to my husband when he, and guys, let's pay attention because here's some things we can understand. I feel close to my husband when he holds my hand. A lot of you said that. When he prays with me. When he says, I love you. When he listens to me and he's fully present with me. When he encourages and motivates me. When we talk, laugh, and enjoy simple things together without distractions. And guys, these are things we can easily do. Here's one I love, and a few ladies said this. I feel close to my husband when he smiles when he sees me. And I thought we'd take a look at some of those. That you make us do this too. I don't know what it is about that. And guys, to be affectionate just for affection's sake and not as a prelude to something else, because every woman knows the difference between being affectionate ... and being affectionate, period. So the first one is closeness. The second one is openness. There's a passage in the Bible, there's a book in the Bible that is pretty incredible, that in the middle of God's word, he puts a book about passionate relationship between a man and his wife. I think that's cool. God is not a prude. God created that. God made that. And here's one of the things that the woman said one time. One night as I was sleeping, my heart awakened in a dream. I heard the voice of my lover, my husband. He was knocking at my bedroom door. Open to me, my darling, my treasure, my lovely dove, he said. There was a man who understood that women want an open door to share things. And she wants to talk about things. And again, men and women are real different in this too. That think about this. Women want everything on the table, right? They want everything out in the open. Men have a tendency more to play everything close to the vest, don't they? And that's because of this. Our mind thinks differently. A woman's mind is integrated. A man's mind is compartmentalized. This will help a lot of people. This is kind of fun, but this will help us understand that we even think differently. Ladies, their mind is like a super Walmart. Now, super Walmarts, you know that they're pretty incredible. You can see a lot of different things at one time, can't you? There's food there, there's clothing there, there's electronics, there's sporting goods, there's cosmetics, there's gardening. You can get hairspray and bug spray under the same roof. And the same thing too is for a lady, everything's under one roof. Their emotions, their feelings, their thoughts, their family life, their job, everything's under one roof. That is why we talk about women's intuition, because they can sense things in different areas because everything is under one roof. Guys aren't like that. Guys are more like a mall. Like Concord Mills, that we have different compartments, and we have to go out of one compartment to get into another compartment. We have to go, just like you have to go out of Best Buy to get to Dick's Sporting Goods, or Dick's Sporting Goods to get to the cinema, or things like this. A man has different compartments. He has his work compartment. He has his family compartment. He has his sports compartment. He has his entertainment compartment. All that are different things. He has his driving compartment, doesn't he? That's why a man can be watching a sports on TV and be totally oblivious to the fact that the dog's on fire, right? Because it's different compartments. And I want to say this too, to go back just a confession time for something where what I talked about with attentiveness, where this comes into play. Because there's times where I'm doing something and I just realized that Sylvia has been talking to me. Okay, and so I have to say, I have to stop and go, honey, I was in a room. I'm now with you in this room and things. But sometimes we just have to go from compartment to compartment, and we have to go from that to realize that we're fully with the other person. Another, and something too, is men have a nothing room, okay? And that's sometimes, when you ask a man, what are you thinking about? And he says nothing, he means it. He's thinking about nothing. And sometimes for some men, that is their absolute favorite room. Another different thing is circuitry, to understand that. There are some circuits that if you've ever seen, especially old-time circuitry, that if one bulb went out, what happened to all the rest of the bulbs? Whew, all of them gone, right? There's other circuitry that if you have one bulb out, no big deal, right? All the other ones can still function, even with that one may be broken and down. Let me ask you this. Which one of these most represents the female and which one most represents the male, right? A lady that if she's hurt in one area, what does it affect? It affects everything, right? And if a man, sometimes it can affect, we can be hurt in one area or struggling in one area, and it may not affect the other areas very much at all. That's why a man can have a fight with his wife and 5 minutes later expect intimacy. And the women are going, how do you do that? That baffles a woman. But a man saying, it's a different compartment. So maybe we understand each other better. But something that we need to realize as guys, is we need to realize that if the lights are out, there's a bulb that's hurting, right? There's a bulb there, and we need to go back and see what that bulb is down here. A lady needs to stay up to date. You and I have different apps, right? We maybe have sports apps, we have weather apps, we may have the stock apps or anything like that, or just news apps. And that's because we want to stay up to date. Women love to stay up to date, and it's not because they want to spy on you or do anything like that. It's because they love you, and they care about it as their way of saying, I care about you, I care about what's happening in your life, and I want them to be a part of that. Go back to a time when my parents used to, a lot of times, they would play cards with other families. And when I was a little kid, I would sit next to my dad, and he'd show me his hand, okay? Show me his hand, and you know what this did? This made me feel like I was part of the team. This made me feel like we were in this together. And it also made me understand more of what he was doing and the decisions he was making there, because everything was on the table. In the same way, guys, we need to put things on the table there, because it's a way for her to go, okay, we're in this together. This is thing. You want a lady to connect with you. Here's what it is. Tell her your heart. Share what's going on in work. Share what's going on in your life, especially if you want to connect. Share what God's doing in your life as well. Another thing is, here's what one of you said. I feel my husband is open to me when he is looking right at me, when he shares his feelings, his struggles, his heart with me, when he actually, here's a big one, when he actually stops what he's doing and actively listens to me. So you've got C is closeness, O is openness, and U is understanding. Now I understand when you say understand and women at the same time, that a lot of guys are going, those two words do not go together in any way, shape, or form. It's kind of like the guy that was walking down the beach and came across a lantern there, and he picks it up and he rubs it, and sure enough, boom, here comes a genie out of there. And the genie says, you can have one wish. What do you want? And he said, you know what? He said, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, always wanted that, but I'm afraid to fly, and I don't like boats, so here's what I'd love. I would love it if you built a highway to Hawaii so I could drive there anytime I want. And the genie goes, come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, think about how hard that is. Think about how difficult that is, all the concrete, all that would be. Isn't there something else you'd like? And the guy thought, well, I've always wanted to be able to understand women. And the genie said, do you want that highway 2 lanes or 4 lanes? And again, I'm not saying that guys are to understand women. From what I understand, even women don't understand women a lot of the time. But here's what I'm saying. Think of the word, what it's saying. It's not saying to understand, it's saying to be understanding. And think of the word. It's saying you're standing under that person. You're connecting with that person. You're holding them up. You're caring about what takes place to them. And how can men be understanding? Two things. First, we can genuinely care, and we can actively listen. And again, just listening is not easy for a guy. Just listening for the sake of listening. Men are better at analyzing and giving answers and attempting to fix things. Most women are amplifiers. Most men are condensers. And what that means is a lot of women will say, here's the issue, let's talk about it and analyze it, look at it from several different ways. Men are the exact opposite. Here's the issues, let's try to boil it down so we can deal with it. Women say, here's the issue, let's talk about it. Men are saying, here's the issue, let's fix it. Now let me ask you this. Is there a difference between listening and being fixed? Right? A big difference. And think about this. I will ask, ladies, I'll start with you, then I'll ask the guys a question. Here's your two options. Would you rather be listened to and be able to pour that where the person listens, or do you want to be fixed? Okay? That's your two. How many of you would say you would rather be listened to than fixed? How many would say you'd rather be fixed? Isn't that wild? So think of that. Now let's go with the guys. Let's switch the same. Which comes more natural to you guys? To just listen for the sake of listening, or listen to try to have the answers to try to work something out, to fix something? How many would say you listen just to listen? How many of you would say you listen in order to analyze something to come up with a solution? Raise your hand. Isn't that wild? Does God have a sense of humor or what? Do you see how he puts completely different people together with different thoughts, with different needs, with different everything? God has a sense of humor. Talking about sense of humor, here's something we showed a few years ago, but I think you'll get the point of what we're talking about.
It's just, there's all this pressure, And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. All of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't...
Just listening a lot of times does not come natural to men, but it's effective for her. And she's sharing in order to be understood. And if we can just grasp that, we don't have to solve all the wife's problems. Sometimes she just wants a listening ear instead of Mr. Fix-It. Here's a great question to ask our wives. Are you looking for a solution, or are you wanting a listening ear? Look at the letters again. C stands for closeness. Be attentive and affectionate. O, openness. Because everything is under one roof, she wants everything out on the table. It's important for her. And there's probably a time in your life that you did that with her, that you shared your hopes, your dreams, and that's probably one of the big things that attracted her to you. Do it again. The U is understand. Actively listen and genuinely care to what she's saying. Don't just try to fix the other person. Hear her heart. And if we do those things, it will be a good start for helping her feel loved.